There are differing stories that follow the property at 133 Keister Road. Both stories have dark and disturbing tragedies linked within them. The first, which does have historical documents and newspaper articles covering the tragedy, explains that before the land was permanently settled, a Seneca Indian murdered a family living in a block house close to that very location. This native, Sam Mohawk, brutally bashed James Wigton's wife and his 5 children with a blunt rock in 1843 after James had left that morning. He then proceeded next door to the Kennedy residence. He used that same rock to hit Mr. Kennedy's son over the head, nearly murdering him as well. Mr. Kennedy chased Sam Mohawk off the property. Mohawk was captured by a mob of locals and then tried and hanged in the Butler courthouse. The exact location of these brutal attacks is not known, but the incident is heavily tied with the 133 Keister property. It is rumored that this is where Mohawk was captured and beaten to near death by the livid mob. The next story takes place nearly 50 years later on the very property. After the Mohawk events, most of the families left the area, leaving the stone houses to crumble. In time, more families moved in and constructed more permanent wooden structures. In 1896, upon completion of their house, the Keister family were among the families to move in the area. Late in the year, Mr. Keister drowned his 2 daughters and shot his wife. He hanged himself on the 3rd floor. After many years of disrepair, Slippery Rock University purchased the house to act as off-campus housing. The property turned into a frat house, home to Alpha Sigma Phi. During their tenure there, fraternity members living in the house have reported the violent slam of doors and windows, footsteps turning into heavy footfalls like someone was pounding their feet on the floor, and even objects being thrown throughout the house. Residents living on the 3rd floor in particular would claim to hear these footsteps frequently when they were the only ones up there on the top floor. The fraternity paddles which hung on the wall would fly off, and the doors to the 3rd floor would slam closed and creep open when no one else was present. A small group of frat brothers actually used a Ouija board, and they recorded the words "stab, kill, God, and 9" after asking how many people were in the room. The violence and activity only got worse from that point on, and less residents wanted to move and stay in there. Eventually, without any interest of students, Slippery Rock sold the property. The house at 133 Keister Road is currently a private residence.